very mellow, very, very mellow, yeah. So, I mean, if you want to join us today, for example, I mean, we're quite low on lower voices today with Scary, Jim, and Ben are allowed. Anyway, but I mean, tons of practicals miss, you know, have to miss a person every now and then. We've been practicing with, oh, when? After service, pretty much every Sunday. About 11:30 to 12:30 is like our scheduled time block. Sometimes the services run long and we start a little later. Yeah. So sometimes that happens, but even if we start late, sometimes we'll leave at 12:30 anyway. So like usually no later than 12:30, 12:40. Yeah, very. Yeah. And most of the time people don't make, you know, we rehearse one piece for maybe about 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 weeks, depending on the complexity of the piece. And if people miss most of the rehearsals of a certain song, they'll say, I prefer to skip this performance because I have worked on this piece a lot, and that's perfectly fine. And you can keep the rehearsals and learn the other stuff and be ready for the other performances we do. So it's, yeah, very chill, very mellow. No one's getting kicked out for not showing up enough time or anything like that. And so, yeah, we'd love to have you join us whenever you can. Yeah, and Jeff is down. He can't make it today, but he'll be here next Sunday, so we can put it together with the drums, the planning and practice. Yeah.
We're doing a really late test. I have it on, but good morning, everyone. You can keep talking. I'm just testing a microphone. Yeah?
gathering song for the month of September is 360, Here We Have Gathered. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. I'm the Reverend Diana Smith, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm a somewhat tall white woman with short, curly, white and brown hair, wearing a suit and a colorful quilted stole, standing in UUS's pulpit in the front of our sanctuary. This room and the adjoining Religious Education Commons are filling with people of all ages. And through the window walls of our sanctuary, we connect with the natural world, where the first trees, leaves are starting to change colors and drift to the ground. And later in the day, we know that the bees will lazily be visiting the asters and the zinnias, all reminding us that it is time for autumn to officially begin. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who've cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk, and the Meskwaki, and the Oceti-Shakawan nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together and work together to create a radically welcoming spiritual community. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We're guided by the shared principles, values, and sources of our living religious tradition. And this morning, as we celebrate the autumnal equinox in Rosh Hashanah, we'll celebrate and explore our values of transformation and pluralism. If doing something with your hands helps you, we invite you to visit the soul work table outside the sanctuary doors to pick up an exploratory guide or coloring sheet related to today's service or something else to work with. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the service by talking with a greeter or filling out a visitor form in our YouTube show notes to let us connect with you. Our call to worship today comes from the Reverend Michelle Collins, who writes, "Come in from the margins, come into our circle. Here we stretch wide the doorway of belonging. No need to polish your edges or hush your truth. We gather not in sameness, but in shared seeking. Take a breath. Set down what you carry. You are welcome, wholly and wildly, in this place."
Our opening hymn for this morning is number 42, Morning So Fair to See. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Good morning. I'm Art Bareka, a worship associate, a 66-year-old white man, 5'11". I like to always say 5'11" and getting shorter. Wearing a light blue shirt, which if you look at it up close, actually contains all the colors of the rainbow. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary, safety, and hope, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as Alex lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. Gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. Dwell together in peace, seek knowledge. This we promise, this we covenant. We also light a candle for justice and healing as a reminder of our interdependence with the earth and with all members of the global community, especially the most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numbed to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity with others for liberation, justice, and healing. Together, we create resilience and hope. Today, in this time of seasonal transformation, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of those unable to experience the season's joys, whether because they are preoccupied with personal troubles or their lives have been impacted by our current political turmoil. May we all strive to restore balance, possibility, and new beginnings to our lives. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps to lift up prayers.
Good morning. My name is Nick Kaplan. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the grateful director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUS. Today, we have a storybook titled Measuring a Year, a Rosh Hashanah story. If you'd like to be able to see the pictures, please feel free to come in here. They will be up on our screens, or you can come closer and see the ones that I will be showing down here at the cushions. Does anybody else want to come in? No, that's okay. All right. Measuring a Year, a Rosh Hashanah story by Linda Elovitz Marshall. Illustrations by Zara Gonzalez Huang. How do you measure a year? By looking at how much you grew. Here they are measuring that kid against the wall. Did you do that? No. Or all the things you learned to do. I see someone learning to hula hoop, someone learning to ride a bike maybe, learning to tie their shoe. Ooh, inside they're making challah. Through pictures, stories, things you made. Look at all those creations. Kids you met, or places stayed. Look at the sukkah they're in. Trees you planted, flowers grown, a move away, a brand new home. Times you were sad, or so afraid, something scratching at the door or at the window. Do noises at night ever scare you? Some yes, some no. Times you were strong and super brave. And they're climbing, and this child's getting a shot. All right. Things you wish you hadn't said or that you hadn't done. This child looks like they're saying mean things and making fun of the other one. I bet that hurt. Times when everything was right and everyone had fun. All dressed up for Purim. Look at all those fun costumes. Yeah. This one's dressed up like a cat like you. Yeah, and somebody's dressed up like Hamantaschen. Look at that. Weddings, bar mitzvahs, times making new friends. All reasons to celebrate. Or coming home when travel ends. Our lives have changed in many ways. So on these special holidays, we give thanks for being here and wish each other a sweet new year. And down here at the bottom it says Shana Tova, which is a Jewish greeting to wish a happy new year, a celebration. All right. There's more in this book that we'll be talking about in our religious education class. So, this is the time in our service where children, youth, and teachers come forward as we light a lantern and head to class. Today's class is one of our sessions where we all start together in one room, no matter our age or our interests, and then after we have an opportunity to deep dive into our story today, we will split into two groups. One group will get to go outside and do apple picking and taste some sweet apples and honey. The other group will stay inside and make honey soap that they will get to take home. There will be a whiteboard with where your child is located, so after service you are able to find them in the right location. So can I have all children, youth, teachers, anyone who wants to go to religious education class, please come forward as Chrissy lights our lantern. And we all sing, Be Open.
Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility.
Good morning. I am Madison. I am your ministerial intern for this congregational year. I am a blonde white woman, and I am wearing a black dress. And for this morning's moment of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, I invite you in to a short grounding practice. Let's begin by closing our eyes. If you feel comfortable, you can keep them open if you would rather. But let's become aware of our breath. Let's be aware of the movement of the breath in the body, the movement of the body as you breathe in, breathe out. The rise of the chest as you breathe in, and the fall of the chest as you breathe out. Let's all take one big breath together. Breathe in and out. You are here. You are connected. You belong. As we continue to breathe, I invite you to think these words in your mind. I am here. I am connected. I belong. I am here. I am connected. I belong. Breathing in and breathing out. I am here. I am connected. I belong. Gently welcome yourself back to this space, to this present moment. May you be here. May you be connected. May you know that you belong. I invite you to open your eyes. Here we are, together. May it be so. Blessed be.
This reading is a poem titled Harvest by Megan Pinto. Harvest. All summer, I prayed for clarity of sight, light falling through leaves, a flock of starlings before rain, of the psychic who counseled repeatedly that I must become familiar with love so as to see its opposite when it rushed toward me. Those fragments, its song, linger rising up now and again. I was to let pain drain from me like earth after rain. Oh, obsession, that closed fist, though here again is mist rising off the water just after dawn. Now, autumn comes early. August leaves brown in heat. Detritus from the maple covers the street where a pearled wasp's nest glistens with dew, while wasps drift hazily in and out. Like those figures which cloud the edge of memory, dissolving each time in a kind of rain. How should love feel when we receive it? I think of those late summer walks through the meadow and the neighboring meadow, where I was not longing, but the one who was longed for.
Thank you. Thank you, Art. As the Jewish calendar turns to the start of a new year with Rosh Hashanah, and as the earth tilts towards balance at tomorrow's autumnal equinox, we find ourselves in a season of harvest and reflection and possibility. And as Nick shared in our Time for All Ages, Rosh Hashanah, which begins tomorrow, is the Jewish New Year, and is a time of prayer and self-reflection and repentance. What starts with a feast at home with Rosh Hashanah will end 10 days later with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. This time is referred to as the days of awe, as Jews move between repentance and forgiveness, reflection and renewal. Rosh Hashanah calls Jews back to their relationships with both God and each other. Shana Tova. Tomorrow, followers of various pagan traditions will celebrate the autumnal equinox. Wherever you are in the world, tomorrow's equinox turns the wheel of the year and ushers in a new season. For us in the Northern Hemisphere, we usher in the beginning of fall. And we are also beginning a new season as we start a new congregational year. At this fruitful time, nature offers us her own liturgy. The autumn equinox arrives, balancing light and darkness equally for just one day. Afterwards, the nights grow longer and the days shorter. And this is a threshold moment. The turning of the year and the turning of the season meet us together here, asking us to pay attention. You have harvested this incredible bounty, and you've set your harvest table. Who is present at your table? And who is not? Just as the harvest season calls us to gather in what has grown, we are invited to ask, how do we cultivate, how do we build the kind of community where all can find belonging? And so I want to share a story of belonging with you this morning. The first Unitarian Universalist service I attended was a holiday celebration service at All Souls in New London, Connecticut in December 2016. So I was living in Connecticut at the time, and I did not know anything about Unitarian Universalism at this point, but my friend asked me to go with her to a service. This was following the 2016 election, and I myself was searching for meaning amidst my own shock and grief with the results. And I thought perhaps liberal religious community might provide some clarity. And upon my arrival, my friends and I learned that the service would feature a congregation-wide nativity scene, complete with Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus and wise men and shepherds and all the animals. Wait. I thought, was this going to be like the conservative Christian services I'd always attended in my youth? I had not wanted to attend a Christian Christmas service. Why was I here? I didn't belong. This shifted, though, when I saw a young girl, maybe 4 or 5, and she was sitting atop of her parents' shoulders, and she was walking down the aisle with the nativity scene, with the nativity party. She was behind Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus and the shepherds and their flocks. They were all there. The kids dressed up as wise men bringing their gifts, all sorts of farm animals as you would expect. So here was this little girl atop her parents' shoulders. Walking down the aisle, wearing a Batman mask. So she then, atop her perch, remained at the nativity scene throughout the presentation. Mary Joseph, the baby Jesus, the shepherds, and Batman. And this was such a meaningful embodiment of Unitarian Universalism as I understood it at that moment. All were welcome in this liberal religious space, even Batman. And the celebration of the Nativity story was not relying upon traditionalist and exclusive ideas of who was welcome at and who attended the birth of baby Jesus. So after believing myself to no longer want any part of religion, which I had come to believe was restrictive and exclusive, Unitarian Universalism, was greatly healing for me in that brief and memorable moment. If Batman belongs, well, then surely I do too. The feast of the autumnal equinox, the apples dipped in honey around the table, even Batman at the birth of baby Jesus, remind us that we are meant to be together, and that together we can build something sweet and sustaining. Last service, Christine shared about the work of the Right Relations team and UUS's Covenant of Right Relations. And I lift up 3 items from your Covenant of Right Relations. It reads, "We covenant to celebrate diversity as a source of energy and inspiration and growth. We covenant to model the behaviors we all aspire to: loving kindness, responsibility, gratitude, accountability, and forgiveness. We covenant to be accountable for our words and actions, realizing that none of us is perfect. None of us is perfect. Seek as well as offer forgiveness and respond with compassion if our words have been unintentionally hurtful. And this is the beautiful dance of belonging and relationships, of being in faith community. Belonging works both ways, right? So not only are we drawing the circle wide, asking who's not in the circle, who is not at our harvest table. These are vital questions that we need to be asking. And our belonging is also about recognizing when we are not in covenant, when we need to be accountable for our words and actions, and offer forgiveness when we have erred. And we will, and it's okay. We'll get through it together because we have our covenant. And we know that belonging simply does not happen. It is built. It is cultivated like a harvest. Belonging is made when we welcome the stranger, the newcomer, and when we risk vulnerability with each other. It is made when we recognize that community is not about perfection, but about showing up again and again with compassion and curiosity and courage. I offer this from the Reverend Cameron Trimble. This social and economic collapse is stripping away the illusion of safety and inviting us into something more real. It's an invitation to wake up to the truth that our well-being is not individual. It's collective. It's an invitation to grieve what we thought would save us, and to build instead what might truly sustain us. It's an invitation to return to the ancient wisdom that no market can offer, the sacred strength of shared life, of mutual care, and of belonging. As we continue to build belonging beyond this month of September, I return to that child in the Batman mask, an unlikely prophet who invited me when I had lost the illusion of political safety, invited me in to curious, creative, and expansive religious community. As the days grow shorter and the nights grow longer, may we choose to build belonging with care as we turn the wheel of the year, move into a new season, begin a new congregational year, draw the circle wider, all of those things. May we gather one another in like a harvest. May we sweeten the year ahead with love, and may we create the kind of community that, as Reverend Trimble said, is an invitation to return to the ancient wisdom that no market can offer, the sacred strength of shared life, of mutual care, and of belonging. May it be so. Amen.
Our congregation is made up of many people and of many communities. We gather in many ways to learn, sing, laugh, share meals, try new things, and help repair our world. Together we create a community that nurtures us as we seek to live love more fully and fiercely into this world. Our community partner agency this month is Shelter House, and this morning, Christine Hayes, Shelter House's Director of Development, is here to share more about our partnership's impact. Welcome.
Pardon me while I stand on the step stool. I'm Christine Hayes. I am a dark-haired, mostly dark, getting lighter and lighter by the year. I'm a white woman, cisgendered. My pronouns are she, her, and I am standing on a booster because I am not nearly as tall as Reverend Diana. I have never come to speak in this room without absolutely throwing away everything that I thought I would say to you. And you probably saw me, some of you saw me grab a marker and make notes because I find your messaging profoundly meaningful to the work that we do. Come into our circle is another way, I think, to say low barrier work. At Shelter House, our goal is to provide services to everyone who needs them, to not require vast amounts of hoops to jump through, but instead to say, you are a person in crisis, and what you need right now is the services that we have to offer. That low barrier work can also be quite a challenge. We are the lowest barrier intervention in a state that you might know ranks last in the nation for mental health care. There are only 2 beds in the state of Iowa per 100,000 Iowans. And that means when folks need care that is profoundly necessary for their mental health, they often are turned away and they show up in our parking lot, sometimes late at night, sometimes the hospital calls ahead, but sometimes they don't. And we are working constantly to provide those services. We only have 70 beds in our emergency shelter. We're the only shelter in all of Johnson County, Iowa, and of those 70 beds, only 25 are paid for by the public sector. So that means state government, local government, federal government, all together combined pays for 25 of those 70 beds. So we hustle. I direct the communications and fundraising work for the organization, and it's a teeny little team, and I'm here to tell you that we hustle. But part of that is that we're able to speak to the folks who care and who care deeply. Our goal, though, is not just to provide short-term shelter. I think of short-term shelter as being like the emergency department, right? It's necessary. It will always be necessary. There will always be crises. But the goal of our work is ultimately to work towards a state that's called functional zero. And what functional zero means is that homelessness is rare, it's brief, and it's non-recurring. And the way to do that is by providing housing, ultimately, to the individuals who are in crisis, and housing that they can access in the lowest barrier way possible. For us, that's something called permanent supportive housing that brings folks inside. We help in other ways too. We work also with folks who can find housing in the marketplace as they're exiting shelter. But permanent supportive housing is where we have a real gap in what our community is able to provide. So we've built 2 buildings since 2019 for folks who have been living on the streets and meet the Department of Housing and Urban Development's definition of chronic homelessness, which is long, but it basically means it's been really bad for a really long time. That's really what it means. Of the individuals who have come inside, there have been, gosh, I just got this number the other day. I'm sorry, I didn't check it again. About 100 since 2019. Only 1 person has returned to homelessness. And these are folks who have experienced homelessness on a chronic basis. It's really profound. So asking what I think it was Madison asked, who is present at your table, right? Our goal is to have everyone present at our table. And what are we going to harvest? We're going to harvest what we sow. And at Shelter House, our goal is to sow care, to sow kindness, and to work with you all to, as you're able, sow investment to support the individuals and the work that is helping to bring these folks into what is ultimately our goal, and our vision is to build a community where everyone has a place to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. How we give and what we do with our lives is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. In the sanctuary, all cash collected goes directly to our community partner agency and the Community Common Fund. If you are writing a check, please use the memo line to designate the purpose as for our community partner, your pledge, or a gift to support our operating expenses. You can follow the instructions on the screen to give online or via text. I also want to note that right now we're taking nominations for the agencies who will receive our contributions beginning in January 2026. You only have until the end of the month to nominate an agency, so please do that soon. You can find out more about this process and how to submit a nomination in the weekly email. Your offerings are a sign of your commitment to this congregation, which is completely supported by the generosity of all who join with us. And now as we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. Thank you, that was beautiful. May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. After the service, we gather in the fellowship hall and outside for conversation and community. If you're a newcomer, we hope you'll grab a snack and then sit at any table so folks can join you for some conversation. This week, if you'd like to learn more about this congregation or are curious about membership, we hope you'll join us on Wednesday night for Starting Point via Zoom. You can find out more from Membership Coordinator Victoria Hewitt or a greeter at the welcome table. You can also sign up to join us on Tuesday for Wellspring. This is a small group program called Love at the Center for adults to explore UU values and covenants alongside connecting with our own personal identities and experiences. Email Nick at uusic.org to get registered, or see Madison following the service for a paper registration form.
Our closing hymn for this morning is number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
Big breath in. Big breath out. May you be here. May you be connected. May you know that you belong. May it be so. Blessed be, and go in peace.